What up, Sonetta?
Okay, excellent. So everybody should start coming in now. Everyone should get their notifications. That's great. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love, family. I told y'all from the last one that we did this, the live panel discussions with Black men and Black women, looking at the problems and focusing on the solutions, that we were going to come back and we were going to come back bigger and better. And, I'm going to deliver. I've got some amazing names this time. Well, I had some amazing names last time, and I got some amazing names this time. These people, these brothers and sisters, I expect so much. I've been excited for this for months. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to let everybody introduce themselves one by one. I don't know. Let's start with Akua. Akua, let them know who you are, what you do.
Of course, I have my mute on. Peace, everyone. My name is Akua Agusi, also known as Oya Bami. I'm a children's book author, as well as a book publisher, community actionary, and mama, most importantly. So that's my bit. That's who I am.
Excellent. Sonetta, if you can let everybody know who you are, what you do.
Okay. Who's next? I don't know who's next. I guess you want me to go next?
Boyce, you can go. You can go now.
Okay, sure. All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure what the order was. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm the founder of the Black Business School and Your Black World, and I do a lot of social commentary and a whole lot of other stuff, on the internet, as well as a lot of stuff related to business finance. And I'm very, very, very interested in the preservation of the Black family and the Black community, and that's one of the reasons why I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Garfield, do you want to let them know who you are, what you do?
Hey, peace and love to everybody. It's a pleasure to be on this wonderful panel with these great minds around us, men and females. And my name is Garfield Reed. I'm the CEO of Dagger Squad LLC. I have a Wednesday program, Black Economic Empowerment Show on the Sonetta's Black News 102 every Wednesday. We teach people how to fix their credit, how to boost their scores with trade lines, and also how to get funding. And also we do a lot of with real estate, taxes, life insurance, and we also deal with social commentary. All right. Black men, Black women, let's get it in. But I'm Garfield. Nice to meet everybody.
Excellent. ZaZa, let them know who you are.
Peace and love to everybody tuning in. Peace to everybody on the panel. My big homies, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Sonetta. Peace to Sister Akua. Peace to Sister Cynthia G. And peace to Garfield. And of course, peace to you, Brother Angel. Thank you for having us. I am a mother, a businesswoman, an author, a public speaker, and a lover of truth.
Excellent. Sonetta, do you want to unmute yourself and let everybody know who you are, what you do?
Peace and Black Power family. My name is Brother Sonetta. I am the founder of the House of Consciousness, Sonetta Studios, and I'm the man that get it popping. You already know what it is. I'm the one that sets it off. I'm one of the most hated on YouTube. This is why you put my name in, you'll see everybody banging, because they feel that in order for them to come up, they got to tear down. So I am the most hated. I got to take your name from you. Everybody hate Chris. Everybody hate Angel. It's them. Everybody hates Sonetta. So I am the most hated. Peace and Black Power. Glad to be on here, family.
Excellent. Thank you. And last but not least, Cynthia. I know they know who you are. You on here regularly, but let them know who you are and what you do.
I'm Cynthia G, and I'm just here because I don't want to get fined. And I'm just playing. Like Sonetta said, he's the most hated Black man on YouTube. I'm probably the most hated Black woman on YouTube. I like to speak out I'm really big on accountability, and I tell the truth regardless to who likes it and who doesn't. So if you were to put my name in YouTube, you would come up with everyone calling me everything except a liar. So, and I think that stands for itself. But yeah, a lot of people do really already know who I am. And I want to say, though, nice to meet you, ZaZa and Sonetta. This is the first time I'm officially meeting you guys. I forgot Garfield, and I'm sorry to the lady that's author. I forgot your name, so my apologies. But nice to meet you as well. I'm meeting a lot of people, and it's good to see you, Boyce, again. So
excellent. That was a cool. All right, so you can see I got my stopwatch up. Those of you that will remember it from last time, don't worry and focus so much on me. I'll mediate, because most people know my views and my opinions on these things. Last time we did this, we let the sisters start first. So I thought it was only fair this time if we let the brothers start first. All right. So what I'm going to ask, and I don't know who's going to go first. I may pick somebody. I think I'll pick somebody at random. I think I'm going to go start with Boyce. What we're going to ask, this is the first question. And the first question is this, is that what do you feel, and this is going to be the same question for all the brothers, what do you feel the issue is in the Black community in regards to the disconnect between Black men and Black women? What do you think the problems are? And what is it, something that you feel is definitely a problem? So, and whether that be with Black women themselves or the culture or even both. So we're going to start it with 3 minutes. Boyce, as soon as you start talking, I'll start the stopwatch.
Well, let me actually ask you a quick question, brother. If I want to share this link so other people can come in and watch, what link should I share? I tried to share the link in the browser. I don't think that one is the one people can go. Which link should I share?
Let me have a look. It should be, I'll give you the link right now. My mods might give you the link. They may have it, but I'll post the link in the chat. I don't know if you can see it. If you have the chat popped out.
I see some over here in terms of chat. So I'll keep
here we go. I've sent a link right now. This is the direct link. All right.
Okay, cool. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I think that when you talk about the issues with Black relationships, I think obviously it's complex, but a couple of points I could think to just right off the bat is obviously we know white supremacy plays a big role in pitting Black men and women against each other. That's been, you go back to the prison industrial complex and mass incarceration. Studies show that there are fewer Black women getting married because of so many Black men going to prison. In fact, when the incarceration rate rose, that's when one of the reasons Black marriage started going down. And then what happens is it's not just sort of a one-dimensional framework where meaning it's not like one thing just affects the other. It's A affects B, which affects C, which affects D, E, F, G, all the way down the alphabet. So what happens is that when the incarceration rate reduces the marriage rate, then you see women dealing differently with men, women dealing differently with each other, men dealing differently with women, etc. And so, when you sort of compound that with mass media being promoted by people who are not Black, that has continuously and unfortunately and horrifically really normalized a complete demolition of the image of the Black woman, complete disrespect for Black women in every way imaginable, as well as false perceptions of manhood. It's created really a very bad ecosystem. and then on top of that, when you sort of look at all these fatherless homes, and you're seeing boys raised in environments where the mother's kind of controlling everything, and he's never sort of mentored the way a young man needs to be mentored. It causes him to have a different perception of what a woman's supposed to do in his life. So you just get these very strange outcomes, like, for example, all the feminized men that we have. I'm not just talking about all the gay men who might not normally be gay, but also the men who are who just have no clue of what a male's role is supposed to be. To the point where they're literally looking for husbands with vaginas. They're not looking for a wife. They're looking for a husband with a vagina because their mother was their first husband. And what effectively has occurred is that you just kind of have this really chaotic shit show in a segment of our community where nobody knows exactly how to sort of manage all of this. Because what's happening is that when people will always get together and have sex. They're never going to stop having sex and making babies. But what's happening is you're sort of conjoining the power of procreation with an inability to manage that power. So all these children are being born in these crazy situations. and it only sort of adds to the chaos. And so what we really need are strong voices that can help remanage the chaos, bring everybody back home, and help us to kind of understand that what we're doing is wrong. And what makes it difficult is that a lot of the images that are influencing the minds of Black people are images that are controlled by the white supremacists, those who wanted this chaos to occur in the first place. So it's really kind of a battle for our souls, a battle for the future of our community. And that's one of the things out of many that I can point to that's really caused the ridiculousness that we're kind of seeing right now.
Okay, excellent. Do any of the sisters want to? Well, each sister, you can all say something. If Akua, ZaZa, or Cynthia, if you want to chime in on what Boyce has said, how do you feel about that?
I would like to chime in. I do agree with him, but I do also think that aside from white supremacy, one of the biggest issues that we have in our community is a lack of accountability and a lack of leadership from our men. I think that there's a lot of things that white supremacy would not be successful at if we had strong male leadership. But considering we don't even have a standard of conduct for manhood in our community, that's very difficult to obtain.
Okay, excellent.
I wanted to chime in also. I definitely agree with everything Brother Boyce is saying. And I just wanted to also include that the vision of success has been very singular. So if you want to be successful in life, the media promotes for you to go at it by yourself. It doesn't show like with companionship. It no longer shows with the proper mate, wife, husband. You want to acquire wealth, and then you want to be able to run through women. You want to acquire wealth as a woman. You want a woman, and you want to travel the world and not be oppressed by men. But I don't think that the representation of having a whole life, a successful life, embodies having a husband or a wife. So again, I think that taps into the media. I do feel as though, of course, the system of white supremacy is responsible for the images, but at some point we're regurgitating them. We're taking what they're giving us and then we're giving it to ourselves, and then which is really dangerous because, of course, when the chef looks like us, we ingest it even more. Like, okay, no, that's what it is. This is our reality, but we're creating our reality. We could create the kind of imagery that would change our circumstances, but I don't see that really happening across the board. So I think that affects our relationships too. Back in the day, people were like, I want a Betty, I want a Coretta, I want a Winnie. But you don't really hear brothers saying that and or are able to handle it if they get one. It might be nice to say, but so yeah, that's the only thing I wanted to chime in on.
ZaZa?
I'll wait for my time to say my opening speech.
All right. I'm going to ask Sanetta to go next. So again, the same question to you. And again, it's down to you whether you feel it's the problem itself. You might have a particular problem with sisters themselves, women themselves, or something they do, the culture, what that particular disconnect may be, what you feel. So I'll get the stopwatch again. And as soon as you start, I'll start the time.
Can you repeat the question again, my brother?
Sure. So the question is, what do you feel the issues are with Black women within the Black community, whether it be the culture? What is the exact disconnect that you feel is happening between Black men and Black women?
Wow, that's powerful. And what I would like to say is I definitely agree with Brother Boyce Watkins. And one of the most important things that we have to understand and learn is that we got to stop playing the blame game. We play the blame game too often. We know what white society have done to us. We know what the Europeans have done to us as a people. But we who claim to be conscious, we who claim to be the scholars, we who claim to be the doctors and the professors, we still do the blame game. You see, because if we blame other people for what we pose to know and know better, then it takes the responsibility away from us. We got to become more responsible. I'm going to tell you, like Professor Dr. Amos Wilson told us, our women are who she is today because we as men are who we are today. We got to understand that. Our women are who they are today because of us, because of the man. If we the head, if we are the rulers, then we got to step up and take position of what we're supposed to do as a man. We got to be the head of that. Our our women don't see us as the head no more. She don't see us as the man anymore. She's looking outside of that for protection. Anything go wrong, what does she do? She called the man on her man. So that's what I'm saying. We got to begin to take our women back. And how do we do that? We do that by getting her respect back, by protecting her, by doing what we supposed to do to our women and for our women. So we got to stop the blame game. We know the condition of this European and how he feel about us. So now it's time for us to look in the mirror, take charge, and be responsible for us. That's my take on that for right now.
Excellent. Thank you. That was a great point. Does anybody have an opinion on what Sonetta said? The sisters primarily, Akua, Cynthia?
I do.
Okay.
I think that we shouldn't misconstrue accountability and cause and effect relationships with the blame game, because there's a difference. You can't solve a problem unless you get to the root of the problem. And while white supremacy has done quite a bit of things, and while Black women's behavior, a lot of Black women's behavior can be criticized, we also have to realize that no one woke up and said, hey, I want to be engaging in behaviors A, B, C, or D. There's cause and effect relationships. And we shouldn't sit here and say it's playing the blame game. The bottom line is each problem has an origin. Okay, so white supremacy needs a certain level of compliance, not from the women in a community, but from the men. If a group is conquered, you have to get to conquer the men first. So the reality of it, what it is, people can call it the blame game, but there has to be some accountability from our men on our condition today. That has to take place. And it's counterproductive to brush it aside and trivialize it as number one, a gender war, or number two, the blame game. So I don't even know. I'm not even sure what people mean by the blame game. We always see this associated whenever it applies to Black male accountability. Nobody really says it when it comes to blaming every single thing on Black women. So that's what I feel like.
ZaZa, I can see you smiling. I feel like you wanted to respond.
I'm going to wait until I say my opening piece.
Okay. Akua?
I think that because of the stresses of providing and existing in this society, that a lot of people's priorities isn't to know themselves. I know we like to say, know thyself, and we study, Pan-Africanism and Black history and things of that nature, but people aren't really getting to know themselves and then getting in a relationship with someone else who also doesn't know themselves. So people just kind of going with the flow with no initiative, no expectations, no principles, and bringing children into the situation. So later, when you have children and you're just getting to know each other, then I think that's a very disastrous situation. So then somebody wants to leave because they feel like they're going to absolutely lose their mind. And then now we're talking about the accountability and the blame. One of the things that I really get annoyed in regards to social media is that someone may bring up a very valid point about something that is prominent in our community. And then everyone starts, okay, but what about the woman? What about this? What about that? Like, we don't know how to just deal with one thing at a time without having to chime in and say, okay, well, yeah, maybe you're a single mother because, like, as a woman, you ain't shit. You didn't support him. You didn't do this. Like, okay, we're talking about the effects of this woman now having to step into this role and do this and blah, blah. Can we just talk about that? We can very well talk about, the dynamics of the relationship or what causes this or whatever, but we don't know how to separate the emotions. Like, we get really defensive soon as something comes up that might have, be something that we've experienced. So I think if we could be a little more emotionally mature about some of those conversations, when we get together in gatherings, we could get to the bottom of things and establish some principles. And I use community so loosely because I don't really see us ever come together on purpose unless tragedy strikes. And I don't feel do a lot of things intentionally as a community. Like, let's say we establish said principles today on this forum. How does this spread out through the community? How does everyone acquire this information? And then now that, oh no, we now have a protocol. These are the expectations of men. This is how you call yourself a man. This is, the expectations of women. And when it comes to rulership, I don't think everyone is fit to rule. We have some demographics where women rule. And I don't think that's because, one is more intelligent than the other one's more capable. That's just the dynamics of the person. So some brothers prefer to have a stronger sister who can, make some of the bigger decisions, and maybe he's still a provider, but whatever, according to their household and what works, if they know themselves and they got together, then more power to them. I don't think there's just one structure, just like polygyny. That's not for everybody, but that's very well perfect for some men and women. There's not just like an umbrella, a blanket of what our relationships need to look like and how they need to go. It has to start with our children, which is why I write children's books, because at that point, your expectations are set. What's expected of me? Why was I born? What is my purpose in life? So, before I go on tangents, if I haven't already.
Let me dive in and add to that point. We were talking about earlier about, I think these conversations are really tricky because sometimes we forget whenever we want to talk about who did what wrong and all this stuff. Sometimes we forget basic biology. We forget that the child came from both a man and a woman, that there was a man and a woman responsible for creating, this human being that we're evaluating in terms of, the quality of their choices. So every sloppy ass man had a mother that helped him become that sloppy ass man. He also had a father that helped him become that sloppy ass man. Every sloppy ass woman had the same thing. And, so really, I think, so I think that one thing that has to happen is when, I think a basic rule should be for us as individuals, as we have this conversation, is that whatever shit you throw at other people, make sure you're ready to take the same amount of shit right back at you. Meaning, in order for me to throw my shit at somebody else, I got to own my own shit, right? In order for me to tell you what you did wrong, I got to be able to ask myself, what did I do wrong? Where am I going wrong, right? I think that's really important. I think we forget that, so when we go and we talk about what the men aren't doing or what the women are doing, we know, we can name countless stories of a woman who was traumatized by the first man she ever loved, which was her father, right? But every time a man messes up, you can link that back to that mom and maybe some things that happened with the mom and the father that led to this person having a distorted worldview. I think the other thing that's important, it speaks to what this sister was just saying just now, is that every household is different. Every relationship is different. Everybody is different, And so when we talk about the big picture of Black relationships, we have to realize we're looking at a gigantic composite of a lot of really tiny interactions. There's a billion different things happening in all these individual relationships. Some of them are dysfunctional, but some of them are incredibly healthy and productive. And a lot of times you may have the right match. And as you mentioned earlier, you may have a scenario where people, the couple says, look, we're going to throw the gender roles out the window, and I'm going to let you do what you do best, and I'll do what I do best, and we're going to make it work. Well, in my mind, that's a successful relationship. That's a successful relationship. And so I think that as we talk about the big picture, we also have to really understand that big picture is defined by the smaller pictures. And there are different varying degrees with which people are willing to even take accountability to be able to grow, to find the right match, to know what to do with the right match. You talk about looking for a Winnie Mandela, looking for a Michelle Obama, whatever we consider to be a great woman, whatever people define. Are you able to handle that when you meet her? Is she able to handle you when she's looking for her king, her hero? So I think that's what I've observed is that it's very easy to go through life. They call it self-attribution bias. Self-attribution bias is when basically anything bad that happens in your life, it's always somebody else's fault. And anything good that happens in your life, you see it as your doing. So it's almost like even when people talk about their favorite basketball team, you talk to Cavs fans about the game, if they had won, they would have said, we won. But when they lose, they say they lost, right? So you want to connect yourself with your wins in life, but you disconnect from your losses. Same thing with your relationships. When you have a win, it's like, it's because I'm such a great person. But when you have a string of losses, you got to understand that you were on that court too when the game got lost. So you cannot take yourself out of the equation when you're analyzing what's happening in your life. If you do that, then I think that's really the formula for failure.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Garfield.
All right. First and foremost, there's a lot of things that was said. I had to change what I was going to talk about, but I got to say this.
But it's the same question for you, Garfield.
Yeah, I got to say this. Men and women over the years have developed and gone two different ways. And the remnants of slavery and white supremacy, the system and everything which has been geared to put us down. When you look at 1/3 of black men have something to do with the penal justice system, it kind of hinders us. When you think about what the women have done for us for the last 50 to 100 years, women have always stood beside or behind or in front of the struggle and supported black men. One of the problems is with relationships with men and women is that men have a hard time in general to admit where they're wrong. We have forgotten how to love women. We have forgotten how to do things the way we're supposed to do with women. So one thing that the Dagger Squad started was, but nobody here on the panel might know about it except Sarnetta, is that on the 14th of every month, we have Black Love Day. And Black Love Day is because every 14th of February, it so happens a husband or a wife only remembers on that day that they love them. That's if you support the European Valentine's Day. So on the 14th of every month, I suggest to every man and every woman, show your man some love, show your woman some love. What about putting some rose petals in the house one day, do a reminiscing of Coming to America scene? We have forgotten how to love the black woman. We have totally forgotten. And one thing I gotta say before I even get cut off or anything, the folks out there that's listening, there's no remedy to any relationship right here tonight. It has to do with you individually, how you are going to change. So if you have a problem as a man, say for example, you're the breadwinner, the woman has her own independent job, you got to respect the fact that she's doing her thing too. Don't be selfish and try to not cook one day or pick up the children one day. We got to start working together and communicate better. I've seen folks in relationships, and the reason why I'm saying that, because I used to be a social worker. I used to work with people who used to take drugs and try to get them back together in relationships. And one thing I noticed is that folks never like to admit that they're wrong in relationships. So even if I offend any female on the panel or a male on the panel right now, am I man enough to say I'm sorry or whatever? We have a problem in our community to say, you know what, sister, you're right. It doesn't fit the ego type of braggadocious attitude that we have as men to say, you know what, that sister is right. I'm gonna get off the live stream right now because my wife says I've been on too long. It's like we are ashamed to give the woman props in public. So the point here is that we have some great minds here. We won't solve everything right now, but I hope everybody heeds to what I'm saying. Try the Black Love Day every 14th of the month. Get that flowers. You know what? It's Black Love Day. I'm going to get that flowers, that rose petals, and get it going. And a quick funny joke. My ex-wife was allergic to flowers, and I didn't know that. And I set the rose petals up one Mother's Day, and to find her all over the house and in the bed, and she was sneezing the whole time when she got in the house. So, but anyway, brothers, try the rose petals. It worked. But I'll leave it there for now. But we need to communicate better as men and women, man. And I'm glad I love this atmosphere. We're not arguing. We have different views, but I'm telling you guys right now, I've been dealing with guys who I'm going to be at an ex-felon conference, and how are these brothers going to get back into society and also get back with women? Have we even thought about that? How are black men who have been living with a bunch of men for 5-10 years going to reintegrate themselves back into society and deal with their credit, deal with their women, deal with females? How they're dealing with women and get back in now? So you got to deal with that mindset coming in. So there's a lot of things going on in the community. We won't solve it tonight. We can play psychiatrists, but it won't be solved tonight. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. All right. Do any of the sisters have anything to say in regards to what Garfield just said? Go ahead, Akua. Akua, you need to unmute yourself. You're muted. So we can't hear you. I still can't hear you. I don't know if anybody else can hear. Is it just me? No, we can't hear you. Try and check your mic. Plug it in.
What about now?
We can hear you now. Excellent.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
We hear you, sister.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
We hear you.
She can't hear us. That's what it is.
All right, Angel, let me just, can I go ahead and do my thing now while she works it out?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I'll ask you the same question then, ZaZa. And I know you've been waiting, so I it's the same question, but what do you think the issue is? Possibly like the problem with Black men, the issue with Black men, the disconnect between Black men and Black women. So go ahead.
You know, it's so interesting to me. We talk so much freedom, but we talk so much about freedom, but we spend so much time telling each other what we should be and what we should do. Sister Cynthia G talked about accountability, and I think that I'm going to underscore that point, self-accountability for our men as well as our women. We do a lot of finger pointing. And if you when you put the spotlight on the brothers, the finger pointing comes back to the women. And when you put the spotlight on the sisters, the finger pointing goes back to the men. For me, everybody should be pointing a finger back at themselves. I'm more prone to holding us as women more accountable because I am a woman. Because I know that most of the men that I have interacted with, that I have seen throughout my life, that really had deep-seated issues with women, had mommy issues. I know that most of the women that I've known who really had a deep-seated hatred for men had daddy issues. So it's a cycle that continues to perpetuate itself in our communities. Collectively, when we talk about relationships, we are very low vibration. We have a very low level, lack sense of perspective when we as women give an assessment of men, and we have a very low level perspective when our men give an assessment of women. We always come from the what we don't do factor, what we lack factor, where we went wrong factor. And in our community, we've internalized lack, self-doubt, fear, all of these different concepts, because as a people, we lack spiritual and moral compasses. So everything, all of our interactions, male, female, mother, son, father, daughter, grandfather, granddaughter, grandmother, granddaughter, auntie, nephew, uncle, niece, all of these different dynamics of the male-female dichotomy is what we're really talking about in this conversation. Not just Black men on YouTube banging on Black women and vice versa. It's so interesting to me how, we have Black men in our communities who are very anti-Black women who still have Black men campaigning for them. We have Black women in our communities who are very anti-Black men who still have Black women campaigning for them. So how do we call ourselves representatives of the community or brothers and sisters who are looking to serve the best interests of the woman or the best interests of the man when we don't even hold the individual people in our communities to a higher standard? We have brothers who don't pay child support and we call them friends. We have sisters who are not good mothers and we call them friends. For me, because I see the mindset of Black women and because I counsel Black women and because I travel this country and speak to Black women, I know for a fact that there are a lot of sisters that are hurting, that are lost, and that are trying to find their way, and they blame a lot of their problems on Black men. But the law of attraction does not lie, and it is no respecter of persons. We as Black women have to hold ourselves to a higher standard. We have to strive to attract better men. And more importantly, we have to change the dichotomy about how we see ourselves and how we see the world.
Excellent. Thank you, ZaZa. Thank you very much. Sanetta, do you want to chime in on what Sister ZaZa said?
Oh, man, ZaZa hit it right on the head, but I definitely got to say this, too. In order to keep it real, I got to keep it real, too, though. But see, a lot of the problems that we have is that sometimes a lot of our women don't like we always say we want a good man. We need a good man. We need somebody that's going to be there for us. And then when our sisters get that good man, you don't really want him to be the lead. We end up arguing with our women over the children sometime, over what we're going to do. We got to be the head. We want to be the lead and lead our women, but sometimes y'all don't want that. So we end up arguing and getting into these discussions. The only time, not the only time, but most of the time, when our women want to be submissive and listen to us, is when we in the bedroom and we making that good, passionate love to our sisters.
Oh, brother.
No, hold on. I'm giving you my understanding. I got to keep it real with you, because I be seeing it in a lot of people. See, I take the unpopular approach all the time. This is why I say I'm the most hated, because I got to keep it real and tell the truth. Now, the most of the times when our sisters want to fall in line is when we in the bedroom without, now, I'm not just saying any women, I'm talking about husband and wife. We making that good, passionate love to you. And now it's, oh, baby, oh, daddy, I love you, baby. You see? But when we out of that realm, and when it comes time for us to stand up and make these decisions, where the woman sometimes want to be the head, and you end up arguing with your woman. You understand what I'm saying? Over issues of school, over issues of sometimes religion. I see brothers and sisters go through it all the time when they having these debates over religion. The women don't want to fall in line because she's still holding on to Jesus, or she's still holding on to her sometime belief. So we get into heated discussions because the woman don't want her man to take that lead. And that's just the facts. That's what I see. Hey, ZaZa, I know you're going to dispute that.
Oh, yeah. I see you put your Don King hat on today. You trying to get the sparks flying. I appreciate that. You know, you know what's so funny and so interesting? You've never heard the sunshine to tell a flower to submit. Brother, you sound like you just crawled about the caves. You got your melanin jumping off, but you sounded a little bit like a white man. I'm gonna need you to slow down a little bit, because you know that our ancestors did not approach the male-female dichotomy from that perspective. You've never heard the sun have to tell a tree or tell the flowers or tell grass to submit. That word submission, what we need to focus on as men and women is submitting to truth. So that way, when you as a man are living in, operating, speaking, and living your whole entire existence based on truth, then we don't even have to have the conversation about submission. And likewise, when a woman is living and operating from a perspective of truth, brother, it is your duty to submit. Not because she's a woman, but because she is the truth, living the truth, being the truth. You said the man is the head. Truth is the head. You said the woman needs to fall in line. Brother, we're not training puppies. We're talking about human beings. Your mindset, and I've heard this so many times, you have a very superiority complex. And all it is some of what the white man has morphed into our men's minds. I hear bits and pieces of that. I hear bits and pieces of Afrocentrism. I hear little bits and pieces of history. Brother, come on now. Let's deal with the proper handling of people. You're not training an animal. You're talking about a real life human being who has goals, life abilities, things that she can accomplish and potentially take over the world. We're not trying to be ruled by men. Our goal is to rule ourselves. So this whole idea that somehow—
See, that's the problem, Sister ZaZa.
But let me tell you what I mean by that.
You're not trying to be ruled by men.
Brother,
when you look at the European, they know what role they pose to play. When you look at the European woman, every woman on the planet knows their position. Hold on, ZaZa. Especially when you get a good man. Like, for example, like me. I'm the king of my castle. You see what I'm saying? I take care of my family. I pay the bills. I buy the food. My wife take care of her thing. Like in her position, she's the queen in her position. But at times, you got to let the man be the man. It's no
So it sets you off. So it sets you off when I said the woman, our directive should be to rule ourselves. So let's backtrack. Let's come off of the emotional response, right?
In the black community, the woman wanted to prove herself.
Listen to brother. Logic and reasoning. We're not going to do emotion, right? We're going to listen. We're going to take the information in and we're going to process. When I say I'm talking about a woman ruling herself, I'm talking about what she puts in her mind. I'm talking about what comes from her mouth. I'm talking about how she treats the people in her family. I'm talking about how she treats her children. I'm talking about how she treats her man. I'm talking about what she reads. I'm talking about what she concentrates and focuses on, striving to be the master of self. See, you taking this European language and you allowing it to misconstrue the direct connection that me and you have, which is the most important thing for the both of us. So now you're putting words in my mouth. When I say women should be concentrating on ruling themselves, I'm talking about what we take in and what we give out.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. I think what we need to point out is obviously everybody. Wait, Sin. One moment, Sin. Okay, wait, because we have to remember that obviously ZaZa had said her piece and what she felt, and it's the brother's time to respond. And that's it. At the end, we'll let some of the sisters that might want to respond. So I know you're my pocket rocket, Cynthia. Don't worry. I'm gonna let you loose in a moment, but just for a moment. But what I want to just point out is obviously everything that everybody says is still relevant. Okay, everyone's opinion, everyone's feeling is still relevant. Sarnetta expressed how he feels and what he sees, and I think a lot of men would agree with him. Some wouldn't agree with him, but it's still relevant to how he feels based on what ZaZa stated, right? And so we're gonna make sure that everyone still gets to say. And I know sometimes it's easy to get lost and we get heated because we feel so strongly and passionately about what was said. Boyce, what do you have to say in regards to what Sister ZaZa said?
I think they both have their own truth, and I think it's fine to. There is no absolute universal truth. I don't believe that. I think about. I focus on this word submit and just what that means. I had a long time where I didn't think that word was relevant. Because I didn't understand that. I didn't understand the idea of women submitting to men because I didn't grow up in that environment. I grew up submitting to my grandmother and my mother, and all the women in my life. I had a father there too, who taught me a lot about manhood. But I never knew a world where men could just beat up on women and treat them like crap and get away with that. I thought there was always a penalty for that. But what I can say is that the word, my relationship with the word submit changed over time. Because I began to really believe in it. And the way I chose to believe in it was probably slightly more consistent, it was somewhat consistent with what ZaZa said in terms of, submitting to the truth. But it's funny because when Sarnetta talks about the man taking the lead, I do think that there are biological differences with men and women, even in terms of what women are attracted to, the fact that they're attracted to men who are strong, men who are leaders, men who are intelligent, who are wealthy, who are powerful, who are charismatic, who know what they want, who are confident. That all these things to me say that there is something to be said about the idea of the man, having some capacity to lead, not being the only one who can lead, but having something in us that makes us different from a woman. Especially in particular situations, right? So when I think about submission, I think about submission to, to the woman I love. I submit to her every day. She could ask me to go get a running start and jump off a bridge. And I would say, well, what time you want me to do it? How high you want me to jump? I would run and jump off that bridge because I'm committed to what she wants out of me and to be the best I can be for her. But then I also think about other forms of submission. You submit to, as ZaZa mentioned, submission to the truth, submission to God. More importantly, I think submission to your relationship. And what that means to me is that submitting to the relationship means that we're both committed to whatever it takes to make sure that we maintain peace in the household, that everybody's happy, that everybody feels supported, that everybody feels their own individual power. It's like a little bit like when you think about, say, a basketball team, there may be a person who is the captain of the team, but when one person has the ball, the rest of the teammates submit to this person's decision on what he's going to do with the ball. He can shoot it, he can pass it, he can dribble it, whatever. But if you don't, if you don't have that some sort of understanding of when everyone is supposed to submit to helping the team win, your relationship is like a team. If you don't have an understanding of when everyone is supposed to submit to doing what is necessary to help the team win, then you will have chaos. You can't have one person who always wants to shoot the ball. You can't have another person always questioning and undermining every decision that you make. A man, I cannot be a man to the woman that I love if she was challenging me on every single thing that I do. And so the fact that I am a man who has a certain kind of mind, and a certain kind of understanding of the world and things I can bring to the table, there are certainly times where I say, okay, step back, baby, I got this. And because we have an understanding in our relationship, she knows when those moments arise, and she says, absolutely, baby, you go handle this because I don't want to do it by myself anyway. Right. But there are also times where she steps out and takes the lead, and I can pick up on that energy. Okay, she's determined. She really wants to do this. It's my turn to submit. So I think submission is a good word, but I think for us to believe that any woman in her right mind is going to blanketly submit to every decision made by a man, especially men who are not qualified to lead in any way, I think that's kind of crazy. And I see a lot of guys demanding submission who ain't really ready for that. But I do believe that when a man emerges as a leader, most women will kind of allow him to lead in his way, but understand that the shortcomings do not just exist on the male side. You have some women who love to fight, who want to challenge you every step of the way, who don't really want a man, don't need a man, want to make sure it's clear that she don't need you no matter what. Well, guess what? If the man feels like you don't need him, he's going to walk away. He is not going to sit around in a relationship where every day he's reminded that, you know what, if you weren't here, the world would keep spinning. So the most important words, or at least the three of the most important words you can learn in a relationship is I love you and I need you. If you can't admit that you need that other person, then they're going to understand that, okay, well, since you don't need me, then let me just grab my bags and bounce. So that's my perspective on it. I'm not going to say either ZaZa or Sonetta is right. That's their truth. They probably shouldn't be in a relationship together. But I think just understanding what your partner's truth is a very important step in knowing where submission fits into your relationship.
Real quick, let me take a real quick point. Now, to Sister ZaZa, I hope, my sister, you don't feel that I disrespected you, because by no means at all I was coming at you trying to be rude or disrespectful. Because I see people in the chat room saying, Sonetta is being very disrespectful to ZaZa. That is not my aim. That is not my goal. I have absolutely nothing but love in my heart. And sometimes when I speak, people can't not use ZaZa, but other people sometimes can't take it because I speak like with pain or something that's coming out. But by no means, my sister, am I disrespecting you or being rude to you. And if you feel like that, I humbly apologize to you. See, I can say that on air. Thank you.
I think the chat need to be aware that everyone is given their feelings and their opinions, and everyone's feelings and opinions are valid. And this is what this is for. Sonetta spoke on his feelings and how he feels, because I didn't want it to be a panel where everybody agrees. That would be pointless. Sonetta disagrees, and he's expressing himself on what he would like to see. All right. So people and everyone in the chat, if you can please respect all the participants that have taken time out of their busy schedule to be here. So please do that. Garfield, what are your thoughts on what Sister ZaZa had to say?
I think I see where she's coming from. I mean, when she mentioned the ancestors and what we did in the past, but I do understand where Sonetta is coming from also. I think everybody is different. I might be a little bit more aggressive than Sonetta. Sonetta might be a punk in his relationship. I might not be a punk. If you guys understand what I'm saying. No shots at Sonetta, because we got to do a show after this anyway. So I can't even hide from him tonight. But ZaZa Ali is a strong Black woman. To handle, I won't even say handle, to be in a relationship with ZaZa, you got to be compromising mentally. You can't have power struggles because of the Eurocentric mindset that we have as Black men. And we got to admit it, Black men. We have succumbed to this system. So now the way how they think, we start thinking like them and emulating them. So because we grew up in a Judeo-Christian society, you're going to hear words like submit. You're going to hear words like, if I do this. The issue here is we need to know what our roles are. If Sonetta does everything that he says, he ain't got to say submit. She going to automatically do as he says. Not as in jump around and do jumping jacks all day or whatever, but she is going to be a working partner. That's what Dr. Boyce was saying. It's like you're being a working partner instead of looking at it that she got to bow down to me because I'm the man. That's Eurocentric. I think that's what ZaZa is trying to say. Ancestral wise, and if you notice the analogy she gave, does the trees and the sun, do they battle? Is there a power struggle with the trees and the sun? Who should be in charge? The sun plays a role. Without the sun, the tree can't function. So at the end of the day, when it comes to male and females, everybody got to give a little. You got to take a little. Sometimes your wife might raise your voice and you're like, damn, look how she talked to me. Sometimes you got to give a little, take a little. And nobody's perfect. I'm sure, I don't know if Sister ZaZa is married or I don't know her situation, but I'm sure she's not perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm sure Dr. Boyce or Cynthia G is not perfect in their relationship. We all gonna have issues. It's just that we gotta understand it from a different perspective. And I like the perspective that she's saying because it's more of a Afrocentric, more of a back in the days how the ancestors used to deal with relationships, which is good because the submit word is what she has a problem with if you really break it down. That submit word, you can't say that around Black women nowadays. We got to leave that word out of our vocabulary. We just got to say we got a working relationship with the person that we're. Because if you love your wife, you shouldn't come on the ear. I'm not even doubting if you love your wife because I know Sister Cynthia very well. So I'm just saying that when you're in a relationship, we can't use it because, listen, bro, the Judeo-Christian system has really fucked us up. Let me just be straight up. It has fucked our heads up. So when you say that, bro, I don't take it no way because I know you. But Sister ZaZa has probably never had a conversation with you about relationship. So she's like, submit. Sonny must be outside his damn mind. They'll submit with.
I love Sister ZaZa, and you can see if you wanted to be with a woman like Sister ZaZa, you definitely got to have your stuff correct. You see what I'm saying? Because she's not the one that will try to settle for anything. You just got to have your game correct.
But sir, I disagree with you.
I would like to ask. Hold
on. I disagree with you.
All right, hold on, brother. I would love to ask all three of the women that's on the panel a question, and I hope it's not personal. Is that all right, my sisters? Can I ask y'all a question? If you feel it's a personal question, you can just say, well, you know what? I don't even want to answer that. And the question is, do all three of my sisters, are y'all involved in a relationship? Do y'all have a man? That's all I'm asking.
Yes.
Sister Cynthia? And Sister ZaZa? Sister ZaZa?
I'm involved.
Okay. The second question is the man that you're involved with, is he's the head of your relationship? Like when I say the head, I'm not saying he's ruling everything because sometimes you take the lead position. Sometimes he will take the lead position. But in the relationship, do you see your man as the head of your relationship, of your household? Is he the head of the household? That's what I'm going to ask you.
You know what, Brother Sonnetter? This question is so, and I play with whether even if I wanted to answer. The question in itself is a problem. Not that it's an issue for you to ask me if I'm in a relationship, but we're coming on the tail end of speaking to a certain dichotomy between male-female relationships. Clearly, everybody on this panel knows that when the word submission gets injected into the conversation, there's going to be an energy split. There's going to be it's going to become a certain kind of situation. The interaction between you and I just proved that, right? So let me explain something to the brothers who are listening. You weren't the only one that experienced physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bondage. Black women are rebuilding our self-esteem. We are rebuilding ourselves emotionally. We are rebuilding every aspect of ourselves, right? So when you inject language like that, when you ask me, is my man the head of my relationship, it's counterproductive. It doesn't matter if it's a yes or if it's a no. The language is counterproductive because you still feel the need for someone to be in charge. You still feel the need, just like people try to judge me all the time based on whether or not I'm in a relationship. Like, I can't sit here and have a conversation with you about the male-female dichotomy or talk about love or talk about relationships if I'm actually not in a relationship. Brother, your language is all wrong. And the energy that comes behind it is splitting the conversation. You got to change the way you talk. The word submission is a problem. And I understand what Boyce was saying as far as, from a male perspective. What you guys are really talking about is a woman being soft, is a woman being feminine, is a woman checking in with you when the car needs oil, you being able to take your woman out to the shooting range and teach her how to shoot, her checking in with you and not making major decisions in the family and making decisions about the household if you know what I mean, on her own. That's what you're talking about. So the word submission, it's funny because we like to be anti-religion, but then we always tie back to these religious sentiments. What we need to be doing is empowering our women so that we can be mindful of ourselves. Teach us how to be women first, how to be rulers in our own life before we start talking so much about submitting to men. There's a lot of broken women out here who have mastered the art of submitting to men and don't know who the hell they are.
I think it's good to point out, like Biggie said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Cynthia, I'm gonna pause you for a moment. Cynthia, I want Akua to chime in because I got you.
Pause because I'm just gonna click out if I keep being paused. Like, seriously.
All right,
okay.
Go on.
And I want to address something because Sonnetter is very problematic to me right now. It's like, first of all, number one, submission, when you're asking for submission, that implies that you have power. Okay. Socially, Black men have zero power. Okay, so the reality of it is you can't be sitting in a system of white supremacy being dominated by another group of men and then asking people to submit to you. That's number one. Number two, Black men are always complaining, saying Black women took on the feminist attitude of the white woman, but they never admit to the fact that their whole entire relationship dynamic comes from white males. You don't have a patriarchy. You don't know African patriarchy. The only patriarchy that you know is white male patriarchy. So first, Black men, number one, their behavior does not show that they value relationships. It shows that they value sex. So first of all, they should try to place some value on relationships. Stop saying that you want polygamy when you don't even know how to manage monogamy. You don't even know how to manage a relationship with one woman, let alone multiple women. So it's putting the cart before the horse. Okay, that's number one. Then when you're asking us to submit to you, you're asking us to submit to you despite the fact that, number one, for 500 years, you've been dominated and subjugated by another man. We were on the plantation with you while we were getting raped and you were doing nothing about it. We were in Jim Crow while we were getting raped and you were doing nothing about it. Now we're in 2018 and you've been doing nothing about systematic white supremacy now. Is there one thing that any man on this chat can name that Black men are doing to actively dismantle white supremacy besides submitting? Nothing. That's just a reality. So you cannot ask us to go outside of our nature as women and submit to the most powerless group of men on the planet. Sonnetter said that Black women only want to submit sexually, probably because that's the only place that you have dominance in. We can't even give you dominance for sports because you're submitting there too. That's the problem. And it's like to me, it's not the only reason why the word submission offends me, because it's coming out of the mouth of a man that has no power that's being subjugated by another man. How about stop submitting to another group of men and then we can submit to you?
I think a lot of my sisters is taking what I said out of context. I'm not talking about all women just submitting to anybody. That's not what I said. I said when you get a good man, when you get somebody that rules, when you get somebody that's paying your bill, when you get somebody that's loving you, that's taking care of you, that's when I said, will you submit to your man? Because see, when I say submit, we both submit, y'all. We both submit.
What is our relation? But here's the thing.
Hold on.
It's offensive when you ask women, who are they dating, as if that bears any relevance on what they're saying. What does our relationship status have to do with what we're saying? It doesn't negate the fact that you have no power. It doesn't negate the fact that you've been dominated for another group of men for 500 years. And it doesn't negate the fact that you've taken all of your relationship cues and how to treat your woman from your oppressor. You are not
the angel. I'm sorry.
What works for white men does not work for you.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry.
That's the reality.
Wait. Hold on. Yeah, ZaZa. Sorry.
Brother, I'm sorry. I love you, Sister Cynthia G, but I'm sorry. I cannot allow you to speak about Black men in totality in that way.
Tell me what I like.
Okay. All right. Wait. One moment.
But before you get started, I'm asking you to point out the lie. If you can do that, that's fine.
I'm about to.
Just point out the lie.
All right. Can I ask one thing? ZaZa,
I'm about to.
ZaZa, respectfully, ZaZa. What I wanted, because I know what I'm gonna give you and Cynthia a moment to discuss what you need to do. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask you if I can just ask Akua to say her intro and her piece, because I know the thing is the reason I wanted to save Cynthia to last because I know how Cynthia is and I already gauged how you are, ZaZa, and I thought, okay, I want to save this to last, just a little bit to last. Akua, I'm going to ask you that question that I asked the other sisters, which I haven't even asked Cynthia yet. But what you think the problem is with Black men or with Black women, the culture and the disconnect between, because I know that Akua has a lot to say on this in regards to this particular issue. Go ahead, Akua.
First, can everyone hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right on. Wow, I feel like I would prefer to just respond to the things I've been hearing, because honestly, a lot of what I had to say, my sister ZaZa already said, and I'm not about being redundant. So if it's okay, I would like to reply to some of the things that I heard. If that's cool with everybody. That's cool, Angel? I mean, you're the...
Yeah, it's cool. I was muted. It's cool.
Okay. So the first thing that I would like to address is just like the trust and respect. One, I feel like men are very comfortable in addressing the women on the whole submission issue, right? But they don't so much talk to their brothers who they feel should be more submit worthy. You're not encouraging men to become the kind of men that we can trust and we can respect to make the decisions that we don't have to second guess. Instead, men like to criticize women for trying to survive, trying to thrive. Oh, is Sarnetta gone?
I'm finding out where he is now. Unless
okay.
Also might want to call him and find out what happened.
Yeah, let me call him.
All right, excellent.
Okay, so anyhow, because I actually wanted to touch on a couple things that he said. I don't have a problem, being in a relationship, and if it's worded, am I submissive or whatever? Yeah, sure. As long as I can trust and respect your decisions, your mindset. I have to not feel like I have to come behind you and second guess all your moves and what you're doing and what your priorities are. If your priorities are intact, then you can make some decisions for our family. That's absolutely fine. As long as I have some say-so, some chime in, but okay, because then it's balanced. That can work for me personally. But that also speaks to the type of man that I'm going to choose to be in a relationship with. I'm not going to choose a man that's going to lead me into the mud. And Sarnetta mentioned religion, which completely confused me, and saying that if he, I guess, should tell his mate not to believe in Jesus, then she shouldn't because he said so. Like, that's not what the dynamics of a relationship, how that works. We're talking about her mindset. So to me, that means you take any old woman and just say, okay, well, I'm giving you food and shelter, so you do what I say. Like, that sounds very Eurocentric. There's nothing African-centered about that. So that's who I really wanted to have the conversation with. But in totality, the things that I mentioned earlier in terms of just personal progress and elevation, like my sister ZaZa said, I think is just really at the nucleus. So many people do not know themselves, and they're in relationships with other people who also don't know themselves in a system that is trying to tell you who you are and what your priorities should be. So that's a very dangerous situation to be in. Sarnetta is back. Okay.
Yes, Sarnetta is back.
Angel, can I say something real quickly before ZaZa comes in? I want to respond to Sister Cynthia G. And what she said earlier, I found very disrespectful, not only to men.
One second, 'cause I think it's going to take off. Last thing I wanted to say was actually about something you said, Brother Garfield. You mentioned about accountability and mistakes. And I think socially, there's an issue with people being ostracized after they do make a mistake. So that's coming into our relationships as well. When you find out that, Martin Luther King Jr. cheated on his wife, you throw the whole man away in his legacy. That's what we do. As soon as we find one thing that, we don't like, we think is a mistake, we throw all the positives away. So I think in a relationship, some people are afraid to admit when they're wrong because they think they're going to be thrown away. Someone's not going to love them through that. So I think, that creates another blockage in us being able to have a successful relationship. When we get into an argument or a disagreement, we're not listening to have a resolution. We're at battle.
Hey, I agree with you. Let me just address my sister Cynthia.
Okay, Garfield, before you address me, can I say that? But first, I need you to describe to me what was disrespectful and why, and then point out the lie.
That's exactly. Okay. You told a bunch of lies. The first thing you said, sister, was that as Black men, we saw you on the plantation getting raped, and we did nothing.
Right.
Now let me get into it and show you facts. Hold on, let me establish.
All right, one at a time, guys.
Cynthia, mute your mic.
I don't want to have to start.
I don't want to go back and forth.
All right, I don't want to have to start
right
muting people. So one at a time.
Let's deal with some facts, ladies and gentlemen. Taki, I'm gonna just point out one name. Taki, Takyi. Taki used to go from plantation to plantation and kill basically white folks. You had Three Finger Jack, another guy who was an Asante who used to clap the powder like Brother LeBron James and Kevin Garnett in remembrance of the Akan people. And he used to go also from plantation to plantation. Now, the Akan people in Jamaica unified all the Akan and marched from St. Anne's Bay all the way to Trelawney, going from plantation to plantation. I call them the Nat Turners of Jamaica. So don't tell me right now as a Black man, also, you said that what are we doing to free ourselves because we're all slaves? So I guess Dr. Boyce is a slave. Brother Sarnetta is a slave. Brother Angel, Brother Garfield is a slave. But let me point out to you, just like Dr. Boyce and Sarnetta, we don't work for the white man. That's the first sign of slavery. Yes, we're in the system here in America, but what do you expect us to do? I've talked about an abandoned town for the last 2 years for people. And in fact, I'm a part of the Bantu Federation. We are trying to reignite what Marcus Garvey didn't do, but we don't have to publicize it and let these white folks know what we're doing. We are trying to establish over there a connection so we could use products in Africa instead of using their products. I'm going to give a quick example to show that probably if you want to say I'm not free, you're right in a sense, because I'm still wearing the white man's underwear. I'm still wearing Ralph Lauren. I'm not wearing Black-owned underwear. And I'm sure, I'm not disrespecting you, most of us wear underwear that the white men make. So none of us is free if you're going to use that as your staple pole of what to measure it by. But you said Black men never did anything. We have done so much in this lifetime that the problem that we have right now is that the fact is we have no options. I'm Jamaican by birth. I could run back to Jamaica and Africa. The Black man in America that's born here through slavery can't run anywhere. He only is in these borders. So how is he going to be free unless he buys an abandoned town and decides to do like the Mormons do? So when we say that we are free and slaves, I find it disrespectful, sister. I'm just telling you that because I know the history of the Akan and what my tribe did. So for you to say that, to say and generalize all men, oh, y'all are slaves, y'all are slaves. Come on, family. We're not here for that. We're not here for that.
Can I speak now, Brother Andrew?
Can I respond to you now? And my response will be quick. First of all, I never once said Black men did not kill any white plantation owners. I never said that.
Did nothing.
What I said was we were on the plantation being raped repeatedly, continuously for hundreds of years. Black men did nothing to stop it. Please tell me the one thing that they did to stop the rapes, because last I checked, Black men were also being raped on the plantation.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. But that doesn't negate the fact that you weren't protecting the women from being raped. That doesn't matter. You said that I lied, but I didn't tell one lie. Sister,
I just gave you an example of men doing things.
I didn't cut you off. So why are you cutting me off? You relegated 500 years of subjugation to 3 people having some individual accomplishments. Those 3 individual accomplishments bears nothing on the collective Black community. This is why we're not getting anywhere, because individual accomplishment doesn't matter. You're not being subjugated by individual people. You're being subjugated by a collective group of people. So it would take a collective group of people to get you out of subjugation. You said that you don't even know how to get out of subjugation, but then you're saying that you want to be our leaders. Follow you there. We are. You're leading us to stay in submission, and that is what we're doing. We are still being subjugated. I can name a number of different things that you could do to break down this system that doesn't involve a gun. It doesn't involve a military. It doesn't involve anything. So the fact that you as a man, you think that there's no way for you to get out of this system tells a lot.
I never said that, sis.
Again,
I never said that.
Point out my lie, because you said that
okay, all right.
I didn't tell any lies, and I can't generalize.
Brothers and sisters, hold on.
Black men are doing nothing.
All right, hold on one moment before we wait.
I guess Dr. Boyce is not doing nothing. I'm glad you said that aloud. I'm really glad.
You know the difference between collective and individual? Dr. Boyce is an individual. He's one person. I said collectively, what are Black men doing? Now, if you would like me to tell you what collectively means, I can do that. But you keep, because
after ZaZa speaks and Dr. Boyce, let me respond to this.
All right, we'll do that.
I'm gonna mute my mic.
Cynthia, what are Black men doing collectively?
Okay, sis. Okay, sis.
Cynthia,
I got you.
Cynthia. Wait, everyone stop for a moment. Everyone stop. Okay, ZaZa, I'm gonna let you speak, because I know you've been waiting to speak. All right, just everyone just wait for a moment. So, ZaZa, I know you. I'm gonna let ZaZa and Cynthia have a back and forth for a moment, right? And then once we've done this, we're gonna go into the next part. And the next part is solutions, where we're gonna discuss solutions. Because we're focusing a lot on the problems, and we're not focusing on the solutions. And we know that we highlight the problems, but we must also look for the solutions. Okay, what I'm gonna point out right now, because I know how Cynthia, I know how you can get, I know you're passionate, I know ZaZa's passionate. All right, I'm worried about this next part right now, but I want the both of you, please, we're gonna let each other talk. All right, and if I have to mute each one so that each one can say, each of you can say your piece without being interjected. That's what the most important thing is, that we're not going to interject each other. What I'm paying attention to in this live stream, this hangout, is, remember what I said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And what we need to do is we need to listen to each other, let each other express ourselves, and then we respond accordingly, because everyone's point is valid. Whether we agree with it or not, their point is valid. ZaZa, take it away. Cynthia, you'll be able to respond as and when you need to, okay?
Mm-hmm. So I'm very passionate, but I'm also very balanced. I would never, ever generalize or demean an entire group of our men collectively with such very low frequency and mean-spirited language. And I honestly believe that Sister Cynthia G means well. And I know that there is a very strong argument for the point that she's making. But I also know that there's a very strong argument against what she's making, what she's saying, and I'm going to make it. I've been in the presence of Boyce Watkins and his team. Mm-hmm. Boyce Watkins employs somewhere between 25 and 40 Black people. Boyce Watkins has inspired a lot of Black men to start Black businesses, to take care of their families, to leave the quote unquote plantation. And I don't even like using that word, but for the sake of the conversation, to collectively come together and start to move towards economic empowerment. I know this for a fact. I have at least 50 brothers on my cell phone right now that I can reach out to that are good men, that take care of their families, that are self-employed, and more importantly, that are mentally free from the things that we're talking about when it comes to oppressing women or being sexually controlled or being deviant in different aspects of our community. There are Black men on this call right now, Sonetta being one of them. And me and Sonetta have bumped heads over the year. We've disagreed, but I've been in this brother's house. He takes care of his family. He has, with his platform, promoted a number of Black men and women who have been able to propel themselves into different fields of their endeavors, myself included.
Thank you,
I know, Brother Angel, the fact that you brought this conversation together means that you do not fit under the language that Cynthia G, when she talked about Black men having no power. Well, we as Black women have to be very careful. We swift with the tongue, but the tongue is very sharp. And when we start cutting our men for the sake of being right, for the sake of trying to prove a point, it's very dangerous, because then are we trying to be right, or are we trying to edify our people? Are we trying to speak life into our men, or are we trying to emotionally and mentally castrate them? It's easy to do that. What's difficult is to see a brother who has potential and has the potential to be powerful and speak life into him. That is our responsibility as women. This is why I say I hold women more accountable, because guess what? We give birth to both. Men come from our wombs. In the same way that we physically give them life, we mentally give them life with what we speak from our mouths and what comes from our minds. So it is very important for us to not use language like Black men have no power. You can't tell me Boyce Watkins doesn't have power. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. I've been at his events. I've seen the impact. He's helped me. So to generalize our brothers like that, again, being balanced, being able to assess our situation and say, brothers, we need you to step your game up here, but we appreciate what you're doing on this end. Sisters, we need you to step your game up here, but we appreciate you being the glue and being there for our brothers and sisters in our community. It's very dangerous for us as Black women, especially when we have big platforms, to use our mouths and be firing off rounds at Black men without taking accountability for the role that we played in that as mothers and the women in our and the women in their lives, and then more importantly, trying to heal them. Are we trying to empower them? Are we trying to heal Black men from what they've been through? Do we want them to gain power, or are we just sitting back and firing off rounds for the sake of being right?
Cynthia.
Okay, so I asked you, ZaZa, to point out the lie that I told, and you said you would. You didn't, and you didn't. You didn't point out the lie that I told. That's number one. Number two, there is a you did not. There is a difference between generalizing and making absolutes. Okay, generalization does not mean all. I think that's what people fail to realize. There is also a difference between systemic power and individual power, individual action and collective action. And that's what the thing of it is you guys are paying more attention to the way that I'm saying something versus what I'm actually saying. And I can tell that because none of you have actually addressed what I've actually said, except to attach emotional adjectives to it. You said that I'm saying it for the sake of being right. It's not about me being right. We're sitting in a system of white supremacy that we've been in for hundreds of years. Whether you acknowledge that or not, it's not going to change it. So I said, what are Black men doing collectively to break down the system of white supremacy? You haven't named one thing, Sonnetter haven't named one thing, and Garfield hasn't named one thing. Boyce's individual business isn't breaking down systemic white supremacy. It's not. And the thing of it is you can't tell me that I'm disrespecting Boyce, because I've never disrespected Boyce or demeaned what he's done. I've congratulated him for what he's done. However, acknowledging the benefit of what he's doing isn't breaking down the system of white supremacy. So this isn't about me just wanting to be right. Whatever happens to Black men happens to me as a Black woman, because we are counterparts. But I'm not going to, because I noticed that fact, does not mean that I'm going to sit here and overlook the fact that, number one, we have no male leadership. Number two, we have no Black male accountability. Number three, we have no standard of manhood in the Black community, and there's no mechanism of accountability towards men. Men will sit here and tell Black women to pick better, but they will not tell Black men to be better. Those are just facts. Again, until someone point out the lie that I'm telling, you can forget that's fine. Haven't taken issue with the way that I'm saying it. You can do that. But what I'm saying is correct. The bottom line is we are subjugated to this system and we are not getting out of it, regardless to what you say, because you can say we can speak life into man, and I agree. But there's a fine line between coddling and speaking life. The reality of it is it doesn't matter how much life we speak into our men. If they don't want to get up and take the lead, where are we at? Because they just sit up here, and two of them just sit up here and told you they have no power to do anything. So it's like, then when I say, okay, you have no power, and I'm not saying that they don't have individual power. I'm saying they don't have societal power. And if they do have societal power, then that means they want us to be in the system of white supremacy because they're not using that societal power to get us out of it. So if they have the societal power, where are they using it at? Where are they using it at? And then list me what they're doing that is going to break down the system of white supremacy. If Black women could do it, I believe we would be doing it. And yes, I am generalizing because in general, the majority of Black men are doing absolutely nothing to break down the system of white supremacy. And in order to deal with a problem, you have to go to the origins of a problem, or else you can't solve it. It doesn't matter how we feel. White supremacy isn't coddling us. White supremacy isn't filtering its words when it gets on media platforms and throw out propaganda. They're not doing that. So why are you guys sitting here?
Let me jump in a little bit, Cynthia. Let me jump in.
White supremacy.
Let me jump in. You know I love you, Cynthia. I've been your friend for a long time, and that's not going to change. I'm not here to tell you that you're lying. Your truth is your truth. You and I have debated things before, and I can't match your emotional energy. I can't do that. But what I'll say is, I'm reminded of. I have a friend who only dates white women, right? He only messes with white women, maybe Asian women. And I've asked him, straight up, I don't understand, why he wouldn't be attracted to Black women. I think Black women just are better in every category. But, and one of the reasons that he told me he only dates white and Asian women is because he said he tried Black women. He said, I was with this girl and she was crazy, and this other girl, and here's what she did. And Black women got too many issues, usually daddy issues, and they're crazy. Now, here's the problem, right? Of course, I wanted to tell him that he's wrong because he I don't think that's true across the board. But I knew the women that, the Black women that he dated, and they were crazy. They had some issues. They had some real issues. And now the thing about it is that when somebody has those issues, you have a choice. You can either tough it out and love them through it, or you can just go to another place where you don't have to deal with all of that, and so that's what he chose to do. He just said there's, because I mean, think about this. Most Black women don't grow up with their father in the house. So many of them have daddy issues. Many of them have an extreme hatred of Black men because they hated their father. Usually if a woman hates her father, the subconscious mind guides you into a really bad place where you're re-triggered very easily when other men disappoint you the way your father did. And so, the way I kind of laid it out to him is I said, we're all in this pile of shit together as Black people. And, and there are some people who stay in the pile of shit, who say, we're just going to work it out. We're going to take this shitty situation and make it better. And then there's some people who just take their shit and they just go into a relationship with a white person, So I'm talking about these sick brothers who only date white women, but they bring in their baggage. So they're dragging some poor white girl through the mud. Or these sisters that say Black men are all screwed up. I'm only going to date white men. The reason maybe you're attracted to the white man is because he'll take on that mental illness that you're bringing into the family, and he's not going to stand up to you. He's not going to fight you back on that. And so, because I believe, honestly, I think culturally, white folks in relationships have a whole different approach, men and women. And so ultimately, because in fact, I know a lot of guys who only date white women because they can walk all over them, right? So what I will say is, I think back to, I remember, Terry Williams in her book, Black Pain, where she said that hurt people hurt people. And usually when I hear a lot of anger and hurt from men or women, I'm not talking about you, Cynthia, I'm talking about people I hear. I've heard guys go through the same kind of rant, or the same emotions that you've expressed when they talk about women. And usually what I'm hearing is their reflection of their experience, their reflection of the women that were in their lives. When they say, well, all women are like, another one of my friends, he only likes white women, because he said all the black women, all they want is your money. All they are gold diggers, and he was married to a black woman who took half his money. He tends to be attracted to women who have a certain mindset, and those are the women in his space. That's what he knows. That's his experience. He doesn't know how to look beyond that. So ultimately, a lot of times when we talk about a whole class of people, we're really talking a lot about either the way we see the world or what our own experience was. And the other thing too that's really, interesting that we got to keep in mind is, like ZaZa talked about, I grew up really following behind my mama and my grandmother. My father was there in a certain role, but my mother and my grandmother are the ones I spent the most time with. And there was nothing that could break me down more than to hear hard language from my mother. If my mother, the problem was when I was a kid, I was emotionally abused because my mother was not a happy person. We've confronted that. She told me that. Then because she was so unhappy, she came at me with a vitriol that you cannot imagine. And the thing was, if my mother told me I was stupid, then that meant I was stupid. If my mother told me I was dumb and fat, that meant I was fat. If my mother told me I was ugly, that meant I was ugly. Now, she wasn't a terrible, terrible person like that all the time. But the thing is that, I think we got to really think about this. Look, if we're making a decision to love each other through all of this and to be in this fight together, then there are lots of unhealthy black women that have to be loved through whatever the emotions they're feeling. And there are a lot of unhealthy men that have to be loved through the effects of their oppression. And it doesn't mean you got to love everybody. You ain't got to be in a relationship with everybody. All you got to do is choose one. So, so for example, if I'm choosing a relationship, yeah, I'm going to choose a healthy woman if I can, if I can be with one, right? Which I think I did. But at the same time, I have lots of female friends where I can see the anger and the issues they came up from bad experiences. And because I just made a decision to be down for the black woman, I know that that's just the bag I chose to carry, and so ultimately I'll say this too, so we got to be careful about what we say. We act like women are the only ones who can be abused in relationships. I know a lot of men who've been horribly abused in their relationships, and people don't see it because, number one, men don't usually admit when they've been abused. It took me a long time to admit that my abusive relationship with my mother opened me up to abusive relationships with women, because I would, whatever shit you drug in my face, I would take that shit. I would let you talk to me in your kind of way, because I thought that in order to make the relationship work, I got to let you get it out. I got to let you talk in your kind of way. I still have that part of me in there. It's never going to go away. But I think at the same time, I would just ask women to just understand that it's not just what you say, it's also how you say it. It's not just what the problem is, it's how you approach it. And there's no way to make the problem worse than to feel like black women that any black woman has just abandoned ship and given up on us. And same thing, I don't think black women are benefited when we as men say, you know what, y'all got too many issues. We just gonna bounce. I'm gonna go be over here with Ling Chow or Becky Sue and live a happy, peaceful life where I ain't got to deal with all that shit because you're upset because your daddy left you when you were 4 years old, or your daddy was hooked on crack, or you saw your daddy get shot in the parking lot. I ain't got to deal with that because Becky's daddy was always there. The last thing I'll say is that we got to really think about these media stereotypes. Look, in this media, with what it did with hip hop and all of that, it just really did create a crazy culture when it comes to disrespecting black women. I think there are lots of men who are fighting against that. There are men who are trying their best. And I'll just say that these men are out here. Those men are out there for you. And so as you talk about black men and you paint a broad brush, I'm not even talking about me. I don't really care so much about what you say about me, but I can just say that there are most of the men I know do not fit into that category. And they might not be able to take down white supremacy in one big thrust. It takes 200, 300 years to break down a 400-year-old system. It's going to take time, but they're out there. They're fighting the good fight. They treat their women well, and they would never, ever just say, all these black women are doing this and all these black women are doing that. Men who talk like that, they don't usually get the ear of intelligent, responsible men. So that's what I was just saying. I'm not going to say that you're wrong.
Can we just pause? Can we pause for everyone? Can we pause for one? What I want to do is I want us to get back on track because we went off track quite a bit.
Can I ask you a question though, because people are thinking me stating facts is a character assassination of Black men.
Okay.
This is not about how I personally feel about Black men. This is about the fact that we are sitting in a system of white supremacy, and people are complaining about the way that I'm vocalizing stuff, but nobody is able to tell me what Black men collectively are doing to dismantle the system. That's
Cynthia. Cynthia, we're gonna deal with that momentarily. All right. What we're gonna do is we're gonna stay on point right now, right? And we're gonna go for the reason that we're all here. And the reason, see, clearly we can all see the issues. Clearly we can all see the problems, and we can all see where we differ, and where all of us and even the chat feel that there are problems between Black men and Black women, and a miscommunication and misunderstanding. Sometimes it's the wording that we use. Sometimes it's how we say it. Sometimes it's the energy. Sometimes it's the fact that we're speaking different languages, literally speaking different languages, and we're not understanding each other. What we're going to do now is we're going to focus on the solutions. This is the part that I always want to get to, the solutions. And this is what we're going to focus on. Again, we're going to start with the brothers because we started with the brothers first. I want Sarnetta to start, and I want Sarnetta to express what he feels some of the solutions are that Black men and Black women need to incorporate so that we don't have some of the problems that have been displayed throughout the, in parts within the conversation. So how can we find healing? How can we find common ground? How can we narrow and bridge the gap between Black men and Black women so that Black love and that Black unity can be back to the place that it needs to be at?
Hey, Brother Angel, before me and Sarnetta, we have a show at 8:00. All right, the Scholars Corner. So we got to jump off like 7:55. Okay. All right, just to let you know.
All right, that's it. So we'll get Sarnetta and Garfield will
go ahead, son.
Well, really, I would prefer you to go ahead, Garfield. And I just want to really say, man, I enjoyed the panel. I enjoyed my sisters. They are very powerful, all three of them. I got nothing but mad love and respect for all of them. And of course, my brother Boyce Watkins and Angel, man, beautiful show, brother. Beautiful putting this together. We need stuff like this so we can all get together and talk. Sometime when y'all hear us going in, family, it don't mean that we get anger and hate for each other. This is how some of us are able to express it, because we are a people with rhythm and spirit and energy. And we do this the way we do it like this. So I just want to say I got nothing but mad love for all of y'all on the panel. And hopefully I'll see y'all at the Sarnetta TV Awards, man. That's all I want to do. I want to see my family at the Sarnetta TV Awards. Those of y'all who are not nominated this year don't mean you're not going to be nominated next year. See, this is my first time ever getting to see Cynthia and me and her speak, but I have known about the sister. I've seen her going in, and I'm going to tell you, I love her energy. I love the sister's energy. Now, my other sister with the pink hat on, I never really got a chance to meet my sister here, but I'm seeing her for the first time, and I'm just saying I got nothing but mad love for all of y'all, man. So I want you to go ahead, Garfield, and you go ahead and give your information first. Sometimes I make people upset. I don't want to make nobody upset, man.
Nah, it's all love, man. There's no animosity on this panel. And Sarnetta, he gonna get beat up at 8:00 anyway by me. So whatever animosity we have, we'll deal with it then. I want to say that the sisters, all the sisters brought some good points. Sister ZaZa Ali brought some good points. Sister Cynthia G, she brought some very good points, and she's basically telling us we need to be on post. That's how I took it. I may have fired back, but that's how I took it. We all got to be on post as men. And you know what? Throughout the history of Black America, it's always the Black woman that has always put us on guard, put us on post. Harriet Tubman, Fannie Mae Hamer, Nanny in Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? So we've always had women telling us stand up as men. So I don't take anything the sister, and I check her out all the time too, unbeknownst to her. But anyway, and my other sister said some lovely things earlier also. What I want to say is, as a solution, we need to be more open as men and take criticism with an open mind, not take it as the person is being negative. Because sometimes the energy somebody gives is what you're normally going to get back. And it's sometimes we got to look at relationships as partnerships. We got to look at it as something where you're getting involved and she's getting involved and you're working towards a common goal. If you're making plans, I'm tired of seeing sisters coming to me saying, hey, I need to get my credit done. I want to see brothers coming to me saying they want to get their credit done. And some of these females, we need to have standards. If the brothers, you get in a relationship, you got to check the brother's credit, man. Check his credit. What's going on with you? Why are your credit so bad? We get in relationships and you bringing that baggage to your relationship now because the brother is not right when it comes to economic empowerment. All right. But some of the solutions that we have, with the Dagger Squad, we working with Sarnetta, we have a 100-man team that we're building in every single state in America. And what we're doing is we're teaching brothers how to get funding, how to raise their credit score, get funding. Each person, we're teaching them how to raise $150,000 in lines of credit and credit cards. But we're also working with them to get them government contracts to fund these credit cards and lines of credit. My plan originally was to get 100 men, 150K, men and women, by the way, and raise $15 million in each state. And then we could buy an abandoned town and try to build something like the Mormons. But we got to take baby steps. We got to start with a grocery store. And men and women working together to get something as a common goal is one of the best things we can do. As far as beating out white supremacy, the only way we could beat white supremacy is several things. One, every black person in America needs to get life insurance. You know why? Because if the 500 people who died in Chicago got life insurance, $1 million policy, that would mean that insurance companies would be bankrupt every year. They would make sure there's changes in the community. That's one thing we could do. All right. The next thing we can do is economic empowerment. That's the only religion I preach. So black men and black women need to line up and learn about economic empowerment, because the reason why all these movements worked for a time period, they had no money. They had no money to back them. They had nobody to fund them except outside sources. So when those outside sources got their favors, they stopped funding these black organizations. So we got to know how to create our own wealth. We got to know how. We got to know how to create our own wealth and create our own system to combat what she's saying, Cynthia G saying. And white supremacy, ladies and gentlemen, is many steps. But the biggest step is the psychological warfare that's been waged on us since we got off those boats. If we don't get rid of that psychological, we can't be free from nobody. Letting go everything that they gave us, and we got to get a rebirth in our mindsets. All right, but I'll leave it there for the family.
Thank you, Sa. Do you want to say your thoughts on solutions and what you feel Boyce? Okay, Boyce, what do you think? Let's get to the meat and bones. Let's get to the solutions, Boyce.
Yeah, I think everybody's got to carry their own shit. I think that the number one factor that determines what happens in your life is what you do. It ain't what everybody else is doing to you. You can respond to that. You can't change the world, but you can change the world that you live in. You can change your world. You can change what happens in your space. If that wasn't the case, then why is it that there are some people who have a completely pessimistic view of the world and some have a completely optimistic view? It's because a lot of times it's because they make different choices. We all in the same black community, and I don't have as pessimistic of a view as black women as some of the men that I talk to, and I just tell them, look, it's because you're positioning yourself in the wrong spaces and making the wrong choices, or you're reacting the wrong way, or you're presenting yourself in the wrong way. And I would argue that if men and women want to meet in the middle, I would just hope that women would also carry their own shit. I don't think we live in a world. I think the black man, while the black woman is certainly the most disrespected creature in America, the black man is the most hated. It's very easy for everyone to sort of gang up and blame the black man for everything. That's why nobody cares when we get shot. That's why nobody cares when we go to prison. That's why we get longer prison sentences, all of that. And I think that what has occurred is that through media, there has been a consistent effort to say to the black woman, to say every frustrated black woman who doesn't want any accountability is to say to her, well, the reason your life is bad is because black men are garbage. And I reject that, because everything that shaped me as a man had a lot to do with the woman who gave birth to me, starting with her. So you can't remember every time the right arm attacks the left arm, you're chopping at the same body. So when black men attack black women, you're really talking about your mama. And when you are a black woman talking about black men, you are talking about your daddy, you're talking about your son, you're talking about your brother, you're talking about all the men that you want to love in this world. So we got to realize we're in this boat together, and we got to find a way to fix it in a way that is holistic and complete, not in a way that allows us to get off the accountability train when it's time to do the hard work. We got to be accountable for the good and for the bad. And I think that's a big move in the right direction.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Akua, to you. And I've been waiting to the solutions from Akua. Like I said, Akua's focus maybe a little bit different to everybody else's because of her profession and whatnot. But I'm really interested in hearing what Akua feels that the solutions are going to be.
I think the solutions, again, stem from the youth. We need to bring back having rites of passages. That was one of the things that colonizers took away on the continent, was the rites of passage. And the first rites of passage they attacked was for the men. They allowed the women to continue because they wanted to come and program the women, which is what we're still seeing happen today. I think we have to stay mindful of the fact that we're dealing with psychological war, biological war. Every different angle of war that you can think of has been used against us. I would never say that in general, men just watch us suffer. I think they can be more supportive. We could have each other's back more often. I don't think that we're waiting for a messiah. There's not one leader. We've had that already. And we still don't have complete liberation. So that's not what it is that's going to solve our problems. We have to be our own messiah. We have to, again, get in tune with ourselves. We have to raise our children intentionally. We have to provide them with skills so that when they're adults, they can be more useful in our communities. Right now, I don't think people know where they're most useful. They don't know what to do. So we don't have focus on development like we should. So, just real straight to the point. I think that we need to focus on healing and not as much just debating what the issue is, but getting to the root cause of it and actually healing it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Akua. ZaZa, I'm going to ask you the same question. I'm also going to ask you to check your cell phone because I just sent you a message about something that I'd like you to check and give me your opinion on.
I think we as a people are really off course when it comes to what the root of freedom actually is. I think we think destroying racism, white supremacy is the root of freedom. Some of us think it's finances, and there's validity in all of that. But the real root to freedom is love. Love can inspire people to their highest heights, and lack of love destroys people every single day. I know I'm in a different space because I'm a lot more spiritual based right now. My focus is God consciousness. So I approach things from a different perspective because I understand that this game is an energy game. It's not a money game. It's not a race game. It's not a systematic per se game as we see things from this linear perspective. It's an energy game, meaning if you have an abundant mindset, if you have an optimistic mindset, like Boyce talked about, if you have a rooted nature in love, if you have positive energy, if you give people the benefit of doubt opposed to always having low expectations, your world changes around you. You attract a different type of man. You attract a different type of people. You attract a different type of energy. The same way if you are pessimistic, if you are constantly negative, if you always think the worst of people, if you have low expectations for the people that come in and out of your life, guess what? That's what you're going to attract. So I don't use language like subjugated or slave. You'll never hear me call myself subjugated. You'll never hear me refer to myself as a slave because guess what? I self-lord and master. I recognize the power of words. See, people listening to this conversation can be uplifted and inspired, right? And feel like they can leave and try to have a beneficial conversation with another brother or sister, internalize the best of what we had to give, or they can leave this conversation with more anger and frustration towards Black women, more anger and frustration towards Black men. My role is to edify. So when we say there's no male leadership, that's not true. A Black man in his household, taking care of his children, taking care of his family is a natural leader. If we have a community full of Black men who are doing just that, that is a collective. If I say I have 50 Black men on my phone that I can reach out to right now that are all standing on their square, guess what? That's a community. That's a collective. Now, Sister Cynthia used the word coddling. I've developed a reputation for being a Black feminist, for being anti-Black man, for hating Black men. So anybody who really knows me knows that I do not coddle Black men. But what I do is keep it real. And what I am is balance. We, as women in particular, because we have the natural ability to give birth to both male and female. I have a son. So there's absolutely no way that I can come in this conversation and spew any anti-male sentiment, understanding that through my words and through my being, I am raising a child that is going to eventually become a man. So for me, like I said before, the lack of spiritual and moral understanding as a people, we think it's boots on the ground. We think it's sitting in, you know what I mean, a Waffle House, and I'm just saying this as an example. We think that's the main focus to destroying racism, white supremacy. No, the main focus to destroying anything that is contrary to our well-being is being well. That means being centered around love, being centered around positive energy, and sometimes loving our men who have not yet found a way to reciprocate that energy. That doesn't mean accept all of the stragglers on the street, but it does mean as women, we have a different role, a different responsibility as far as healing both male and female. We have a different responsibility than our men. We can say our men have to take care of the finances. They need to do security. They need to handle all of the linear things in our communities. Okay, bet. I'm totally with that. What is our role as women? Where is the empathetic, compassionate, loving, all of those things that make us powerful as women? How do we take those power sources and turn that around and change the course, the trajectory in our communities? For me, that's what it is. Self-accountability and starting with yourself and reflecting the love and the light that you want to see in our communities. That's it for me.
Thank you, ZaZa. Thank you. I appreciate it. Cynthia, solutions.
I think one of the primary solutions is honesty and truth. And I think it's interesting that you have people who are, if you're going to say that you're a truth teller, you wouldn't say that 50 people are the collective when we have millions of Black people in this country. I don't really understand that, but
you don't have to be so low vibration. You don't have to be so negative. Come with let's end on a positive note.
The truth is what it is. It doesn't have to be positive just because you want it to be positive. The situation that we are in is very negative. Being in a system of white supremacy is very negative. So I don't know, how am I going to talk positively? How am I going to talk positively about being?
I don't have no boots on my neck.
So that doesn't, well, you don't have a physical, literal boot on your neck, but as a Black woman, you can't go navigate in society doing whatever you want to while you're in a system of white supremacy.
What can't I do? I don't live a life of limitations. And what I don't understand, sis, if this panel was brought together under a positive umbrella, and while your sister ZaZa was speaking, you're rolling your eyes and shaking your head, and you can't get over that one point of you saying
to speak. The reason I'm rolling my eyes because people are making incorrect statements like 50 is a collective. That's not the collective. That's not what that means. And so,
right, but why not ingest what the sister is saying? You can't listen and also be defensive.
Ladies.
Here's the thing.
All right, wait. Everybody,
wait. Forward like that. It's just not true. You're not even accounting psychological warfare. Like our men are inferior.
Okay, hold on. What isn't true?
So why do you date brothers then?
Okay, look, I've muted everybody. I don't like to do this. I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say one more time, and I understand what the other sister's saying. Sin, we're looking at solutions right now, and obviously solutions have to be positive. Sometimes solutions are negative, but sometimes it's the truth. But right now, Sin, you're muted right now. Everyone's muted. Okay, everyone's muted. Sin.
But
I know, Cynthia, I know you didn't. I know, and everyone's gonna let you say your piece. ZaZa, I hope that because I think that you're gonna want to have this conversation, and send you the message, say if you'd like to have a one-on-one conversation with Cynthia on the platform afterwards, and you two can discuss your differences in regards to different beliefs and doctrine and whatnot. Hopefully you agree to that, because I'm pretty sure everyone would like to see that, and that would be a nice way to end it off. But right now, solutions. Continue as you were saying, Cynthia.
So if we cannot be honest about our current condition, whether it's the current condition of our relationships, the current condition of our mentality, or the current condition of the environment that we live in, you cannot have a solution. Regardless to whether you like the way it's delivered to you or not, we have to be honest about the situation that we are in. Yes, there is a divide between Black men and Black women. And yes, we can attribute 99% of that divide to the system of white supremacy. But the reality of it is if we're not addressing these things appropriately, if we're lying to ourselves, if we're cowering away from it simply because we just don't want to hear it or we don't like the person that's saying it, that doesn't provide a solution. So what we need to do is, yes, Black women should take accountability for what they do. Black men should also take accountability for what they do. We need a standard of manhood to be established and enforced in the community, because women cannot effectively raise their children or contribute to the raising of effective male or effective females in their community if they don't have a blueprint from which to go by. And we don't have that. We have a bunch of damaged people who have generational issues, whether it be a woman who had an absentee father or a man who had an ineffective mother. You have a community full of people suffering from that, but many of them who don't even want to deal with what it takes to actually unpack all of it and see where it came from, because there's an origin to everything. I'm simply trying to go to the origin, and that's what I think needs to be done. But I think that there's too many people who let their emotions get in the way of that. We need to go back to the origins of the rift in order to deal with it, because you're not going to solve any problem if you don't go to the origin of it. So we can say Black women are not doing this. We can say Black men are not doing this. But the reality of it is all of that is just going to be arguing back and forth unless we go to the root cause of the problem. You can acknowledge that you have a problem, but unless you pick that problem apart, you're not going to get to the solution. So that is how we can get to the solution, with accountability, honesty, and acknowledging the system and the condition that we're in, and acknowledging the origins of why we have this disruptive, dysfunctional dynamic between Black men and women to begin with. It seems like nobody wants to do that, though. And when we do it, we're called bitter, and we're called angry, and we're called of low vibration, when in reality, I'm simply trying to go somewhere that no one wants to venture to, and that's to the root cause of the problem.
Well, I love everybody's solution. I agree with everybody's solution. We could all make it work somehow. My solution would be that we got to get back to those who laid down the foundation before us. We are getting off track with the teachers that was here before us, like Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Naeem Akbar, Dr. Amos Wilson. We don't look to them no more for the knowledge and for the information. Otherwise, we wouldn't be so damn confused on whether we are Aborigine or whether we are African or whether we are Hebrews or Muslim. See, we went away from those people. We went away from our real teachers and our real grandmaster teachers. So my solution to the people, family, is that we got to get back to the Francis Cress Welsing, to the Dr. Naeem Akbar, to the Dr. Ben, to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because the truth of the matter is, what greater solution can any of us tell you than they already done told you already? They already done laid down the solutions. And we are still here today trying to come up with our own solutions. We ain't even tried theirs. You see? And that's the best solutions that we could get. We got to get back into these right here. A blueprint for Black power. A moral, political, economic imperative for the 21st century. We got to go back into the real solutions, man. And until we try that, and then we can say, all right, well, at least we tried it. But we didn't. We ain't tried the solution of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when he kept saying, build for self, build your schools, build your own hospitals. We didn't do it. We profess it, we talk it, but we don't never do it. You see what I'm saying? So my solution to my people is to get back to the real teachers. And why do I say the real teachers? Because we don't even quote them. We don't even quote Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. We listening to these Google teachers now. We got to go back to the real grandmasters. That's all. And I love everybody up here. Y'all all went in. Y'all all went in and did y'all thing. My sister at the end, Akua, how you pronounce your name, Queen?
Akua.
Akua is like, if I was to give y'all the term of the insect, Akua is like the honeybee. She spreads honey on all over us. My sister Cynthia G is like the wasp singer. If you don't come correct, she gonna sting you and hit you hard. My sister right here, you already know. Oh man, ZaZa Ali. She comes in the form of that scorpion. If you ain't right, she gonna hit you with that goddamn with that stinger and get you right. So I mean, I love all my people, man. Y'all doing the right thing.
Thank you, son. Thank you. And I know you and Garfield have got to go, and Boyce went because he had a prior engagement. Akua started saying something, and I still want Akua to say what she was saying because I think it definitely had relevance, and I understand what Akua was saying. And I think people can learn from what she was about to say. Before I interject,
let me just say peace, and we're out, brother. Thanks for having me on. Peace and one love.
Yes, thank you, Angel, man.
Hey, Cynthia G. Peace and love, Queen. Sister ZaZa Ali, one love. You know what it is. One love, sis. We fight in the back chat later.
Peace to you guys. Bye, Sonetta. It was definitely very.
Good to meet you, my sister. Good to meet you.
We're gonna be on Scholars Corner. We're gonna start probably in the next 10 minutes. On what we're gonna do?
Can you post a link to it in the chat? I want to watch.
All right, no problem.
I got to interview my sister Cynthia. I ain't never had her.
Yeah, we got to fly her in.
I'm gonna put everybody.
Fly her in, man. We got to fly her in for this one.
ZaZa, Cynthia, you guys are both very passionate sisters, and I was messaging the both of you in the background about possibly doing a conversation between the two of you in the future, and I think both of you are interested in doing that. So for everyone that's watching, just to look out for that. That's something that's going to happen because I think the conversation between the two of you sisters definitely needs to be had, a discussion on and kind of on the main focuses of where you both want to be at. All right.
Well, thank you so much, brother. Thank you for having me. Thank you to everybody that listened, everybody that participated. It was definitely a good discussion. The passion was there, you know what I mean? But the intention is righteous. So definitely happy to be a part of it. And I'll be speaking to y'all soon.
Thank you very much, ZaZa. And thank you, Cynthia.
Mm-hmm.
Check out the website, which is ikyg.com. The links will be in the description also. Over on ikyg.com, you can advertise your Black-owned business for free, absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a penny, nothing. It's 100% free. So you got a Black-owned business, advertise it on ikyg.com in the Black Money section. It's free. And even if you don't have a Black-owned business, but you just want to support Black-owned businesses, check them out and have a look and support some of your brothers and sisters on there also. So peace, love, and coconut oil. Thank you.
Hey, man, that's racist. Please remember that from now on, brand new, never before seen videos, as well as live streams, will only be available on my website, ikyg.com, via a Patreon subscription. ikyg.com is a Black-owned, Black-ran platform, 100% free from censorship. It's the only place where we don't have to worry about what we say and expressing ourselves. Make sure you check out the description and the comment section for important links, as well as information in video form that shows you what benefits you get when you support the site and join my Patreon. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then don't forget to subscribe and be notified every time I upload a video. For exclusive content and perks, check out my Patreon. This is where we have private live streams, group chats, live Q&As, live phone calls, and open topics. This is a safe space where you can interact with other like-minded people, make friends, send each other direct private messages, and so much more without any trolls. And yes, you get to use GIFs and images in the live chats. So what are you waiting for? This is a completely independent website, free from censorship. If you'd like to make a donation towards the site so we can continue to put out the truth without fear of being silenced, then please hit that donation button. It's greatly appreciated. Check out the rest of the site for videos, private and public live streams, Find out all the tea and make sure to utilize the Black Money section of the website. Advertise your business absolutely free to people that look like you, free forever. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Angel_IKYG.